KKHT wants you to meet three of the classiest guys in real estate.
I am Chris Kelso, the maestro of mortgage.
I am Rob Cook, the godfather of real estate.
And I'm Joe Orsack, the king of credit swing. And together, we're the Real Estate Rat Pack. Much like us, real estate right now is smoking hot. So whether it's buying, selling, or owning, you need to check out the Real Estate Rat Pack.
They're here to take your calls and answer your questions live. Call now, 1-800-808-5548. And now, the Real Estate Rat Pack!
Good morning, everybody. You know, it's a great morning, but it looks like it's going to be a little stormy out there for a little while. You know, the great thing here in the studio, it's going to be fun and exciting, let me tell you.
We got a great collection of expert guests this morning.
You know, every time I hear that announcement, I'm thinking, I need that guy. I just want him to follow me around.
Imagine Joe is at the home.
Yes, Joe is home and he's ready to watch TV.
I want to hear what we're going to say when you go to the restroom. Joe is going to the restroom.
He just sounds so happy and everything's so huge. It's just awesome. Joe is getting coffee.
Okay.
Rob is trying to talk.
What are we going to talk about today, Chris?
You know, we're actually having a great show on relocation. You know, the Houston market obviously is growing a lot. It's been growing for a long time. We have a lot of activity going on. And more importantly, it's exciting to see what's going on in the real estate market in regards to relocation services right now.
It's going like wildfire. Of course, you get in areas like Woodlands and Katy, which are predominantly oil-related companies moving into those areas. And I'm hearing that, you know, depending on which economist you talk to, we're poised in the next 12 months to get about anywhere from 90 to 120,000 new jobs. But again, depending on who you talk to. But you know what? That doesn't represent 120,000 people. That might be 3 people, 4 people for each job that shows up. So,
right, absolutely.
And they're all in front of me on I-10 in the morning, by the way.
Yes.
Which is really kind of tough. So who we have here today is from my company is Lynn Breedlove. Welcome to the show, Lynn.
Oh, good morning.
And we also have Steve Townsend, and he's with NEI Global Relocation. And I've not actually think we've had anyone from a relocation company. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you very much.
And we're going to talk about what, you know, there's things that people face when they're relocating. It's traumatic. You know, you're relocating out of a company or an area or a country where you've maybe lived a long time, and all of a sudden you're uprooted because your company transfers you here, and wow, they've got to go through all this stuff. They got to find a home. They've got to find the great schools. They've got to, you know, they got to relearn everything and how they live. So, Lynn, tell me how that starts in that process. Is, you know, what are they facing when you first get something?
Well, as you know, Rob, the move of a transferee is actually, the stress level is as high as second to highest as far as when a person dies. I mean, it's very, very stressful. So in looking at that, we have to really narrow down and handpick people to work with these people. People that's either had the same experience and moved across country. They have to leave family, they have to leave friends, they have to leave elderly parents. So again, the stress levels is critical. And so we really try to focus on hand selecting people who've either experienced this before or understand, have the empathy, compassion, and caring.
And Steve, you actually are the ones that actually work with the companies before they get to Lynn. And talk about that. When you go in and talk with them, what are you talking with about that you're going to do to help their people move into Houston?
Right. Well, thank you, Rob. A relocation management company like NEI, our goal is to solve problems. It's to solve problems for the company, and it's to solve problems for the employee. As Lynn said, it's one of the most stressful events, life events, that any family is going to go through. So what we try to do is we step in and we work with the company to manage that entire process for them. But more importantly, we work as a single point of contact for that employee. So that employee has a guide that goes from the very beginning all the way through until they're settled into their new location and productive at their new job.
Can I ask?
Yes, you can ask a question. Actually, it's okay.
Yes,
he's the boss, right?
So I've never moved to another city. Well, I didn't have to when I was 15, but so I just rode in the car. But Would a person that is relocating for a job, if I got transferred to Dallas or wherever, would I contact a company like yours to coordinate everything? Help me out with that thought.
Yeah, you bet. Typically what happens is we'll contract with the employer.
Mm-hmm.
And so the employer has a relocation policy set up, and they'll direct you to contact the relocation company. So we're the ones that go in, and it's an outsourced solution for our clients, so that literally we take all of those tasks off of their plate. We manage it for them, feed them all of the information back. But it's the HR group that typically manages that process for the individual employee.
And Steve, tell me what you do before you hand it off to Lynn. Tell me what you do for that client, and then you say, you know what, I've got you this awesome relocation director. Talk about that process.
Sure. We when we first contact a family, and we really work with the entire family, we'll contact them. We'll find out. We'll do what's called a needs assessment, and we really want to find out what's going on with that family's life and what's important to them. So we'll do a full analysis of where they are, what they need, whether it's going to be elder care, whether it's special needs for their kids, whether it's sports, whatever it may be. So we'll know exactly what they are, and then we feed that specific information to our great partners like Lynn, and she's the one that manages, and she's got experts in this area to make sure that they put them in the right place.
It's a great segue to go over and ask Lynn some questions. When they come to you, you've got a pretty good idea what their needs are. What are the challenges that are facing them? I mean, as far as finding a place. Let's say you do a lot of stuff up in the woodlands, and in spring, the cypress, and those areas. What's the number one thing they're needing from us?
Mainly, it really drills down, Rob, to listening skills. Many times our needs analysis discussion, Steve is a warm handoff. Their company, NEI, hands it to us, and they've already talked to them and all that. Then once we get the transferee, we could have a needs analysis telephone call for 10 minutes or up to an hour. It depends. And so you've got to really be a good listener and listen to the issues and the problems. You know, if I drill down right now in the market today, and the biggest issue that we're having, it would be the transferees thinking that our agents are being pushy. And the reason they think they're being pushy is because they are saying, you know, our agent's saying, if you like this house, you need to either come in at full price and or above price. And otherwise you will lose the listing. So I'll get the call from NEI, and they'll say, what's going on with your agent? They're too pushy. Well, the agents are being realistic. That is exactly where our market is today, and we have to explain that to them over and over again.
And especially in the markets that I was talking about, the Katy in the Woodlands office, areas, you may have a new listing and you may have 6 offers on it that day. Mm-hmm. And so it does sound like we're, as agents, are being very pushy, but it's a reality, and they are paying over list price.
I have to say that we had one listing come on the market in the Heights. So it's all over the city, and we ended up having the very first weekend 27 offers.
That was Stephen Hallmark.
Yes, it
he's
was
one of our past guests.
And he's a great agent, too.
No, and you're right, though. You know, one of the things that you guys were mentioning, Lynn, is, you know, a lot of times these individuals are coming in, they're coming in from abroad, and they don't understand, you know, there's a culture shock to begin with. You know, so number one, you have to deal with a culture shock associated with individuals coming in from different parts of the world, right? And then also remember, real estate right now in Texas is completely, in the United States, is different than abroad to begin with. Then you compound that with the fact that the real estate market in Houston is the hottest it's ever been, you know, in reference to multiple offers, bidding over price, lack of inventory in some key areas such as Katy and some areas right there. I mean, even some of the $1 million homes are getting multiple offers, hundreds of $1,000s over offer price.
Absolutely.
You know, so you compound all that, and then it sort of makes for that complaint that you said, that a lot of times foreigners will come in and say, you know, why are they being so pushy? Why is it this? Why is it that? And that's one of the things you mentioned. I think education, that's part of what the show is about as well, is educating them about what the market is currently doing. You know, I work with a lot of the relocation side of things, and I see it on the financing side. You know, at the same time, they're like, you know, I was told to give you a call because I just have to have a piece of paper in hand. They don't understand why sometimes, though. And so you're right. I think it's always important for us to continue to understand is, you know, I was a product from my family. We moved about 15 times whenever I was a child. And so, you know, and I always knew the stress level my mom and my dad were going through, and was always abroad. We were always expats, so we were always, you know, throughout Latin America somewhere. So I definitely understand and relate to what they're going through. And you're right, that stress level can be extremely high, especially when you start putting little ones in the mix. You know, a lot of times they come in, they've got children, they're trying to find out what's going on with education, where they're going to put them, they got to buy a new car, they got to do, find out what new friends, and then you got to satisfy the fact that, the children are the ultimate ones that have to be happy as well. And mom, as my dad used to always say, to make sure that, dad can go away and work, or mom in this case.
Well, let me ask you this, and Steve or Lynn, either one of you can talk about this. The number one question that they typically ask when they first find out they're going to be relocated, what is that number one question?
Well,
schools. If they have children, the number one question would be schools, school information.
So, and is that something that you find to be true also, Steve?
Well, when we get the first question, it's like, can I afford to move? Help me figure out, can I afford to move? There's been such a change in the real estate market across the country in different markets. They need to be able to analyze, can I afford to do this?
Absolutely. And actually, I believe there's a website you can actually go to and analyze whether or not what you have to make more or less to move into certain markets. And unfortunately, I don't recall what it is, but Houston is absolutely the least expensive major city in the U.S. for housing. So I think that probably makes them feel a little bit better. So I get people from California, and they're going, I can get that for this. If it's like for $500,000 here, they can get a McMansion. Yeah. $500,000 right there is 2-bedroom, 1 bath. So it's for them. It's the culture shock isn't as severe. So, Lynn, tell me what you do once you've kind of gotten this. You've had the warm handoff from Steve, and then you've got them. You've done your needs analysis. What's the next step from that?
Well, I'm going to back up just a little bit, Rob.
You can do that.
What you do first in starting the relocation department is that you've got to hand select agents who are qualified. And there are certain qualifications they have to have.
Well, let's talk about that. What's the qualifications?
Well, at least 3 years in the business, at least $3 million producer consecutively for those 3 years. Shows that they've been in the business, they're serious about the business. But more importantly, that they are empathetic, they have compassion, they are good listeners, good negotiators, all of the adjectives that you can think of that you need.
And patient.
Patient, yes. Patient's probably number one. And so once the selection process has taken place, then they have to go through some training. Obviously, they're going to go through training with me, which is twice a year. And they also then have to have an online certification.
And she's like a drill sergeant, too, trust me. Yeah. You will do this.
Well,
you will do this.
I have been called that, yes. However, and I have to say, without a doubt, I appreciate our agents 100%. They go above and beyond. They are the best relocation team I've ever worked with.
Yeah, well,
hey, Rob, just to mention, I found the cost of living calculator to compare between cities, posted on the Real Estate Rat Pack Facebook page.
Well,
shameless plug for our page there.
There's nothing shameless about that. There's not that.
It's a useful tool.
Yeah, it is a useful tool. So what? So you can go, so they can find it. What is the URL on that?
It's on CNN Money page.
Okay.
I just posted the link on our Real Estate Rat Pack page, so they can go there.
Because we
Facebook.
do have listeners from other parts of the country listening to us. We're finding out, and we got
absolutely.
We have a fan in Dallas. I know
at least one,
and they may want to relocate to Houston. So, Steve, talk about the relationship that you have with Lynn and other directors like her. How do you establish those relationships?
Well, one of the most critical things that we've got to do is when we select our service partners across the country, we come to a place like Houston, and they represent our company when they're acting on our behalf. So the kind of performance that Lynn is able to derive from her team is crucial for our success.
Well, and Lynn's known in this city as the Relo Queen, and we're proud to have her at Prudential Anderson Properties. I promise you.
So let me see. We have the Relo Queen and the Godfather of Real Estate in the studio at the same time.
In one company.
One company. That is amazing.
How does that happen? Shameless plug for Prudential Anderson Properties.
Thanks to Mike Huff.
Absolutely. Well, it's always fun, but, man, 15 minutes goes by really fast. We are up against a break right now, but stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Like me. Can bet as sure as you live. Something's gotta give, something's.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
And welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Show. Remember, we are live and taking phone calls. You can reach us at 800-808-5548. You can also reach us out on Facebook. If you're out there, all of our Facebook fans and friends, go out there and like us. And more importantly, Joe is monitoring our Facebook page right now as we sit here.
Yay,
if you have a question, you can put it right there online. He'll read
Although
it right
somebody
out
was
live.
talking to me about Kung Fu on Facebook. So.
Kung Fu, okay.
We know, Chris, who else, and Joe, we have here in the house is a Cindy Whiteside. She is with Better Homes and Gardens, Gary Green. Welcome, Cindy.
Another relocation expert.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Start spreading the news.
Yes.
We're relocating today.
Okay.
Now, that is a great Rat Pack theme. I like
we
that.
got the demure and shy Cindy Whiteside with us. And Cindy
CDs will be available after the show for a
There you
nominal
go.
fee.
Lynn, actually, I'd gone to Lynn Breedlove, and I said, Lynn, who do you have that's a really good relo agent? And she sent me an email and said, you need to ask Cindy Whiteside. So evidently you all had go back a ways, have done business together when you all were at the same company. And so we're really excited to have you here. So let's talk about that same process. And you get a handoff from somebody like Lynn or your director at your company. And what's the first thing that you do?
I think the first thing that we do is, of course, we get great feedback or information from Lynn that really starts us off, and we actually start on a really proactive. And so the thing that is so important is we contact our clients just as quickly as possible. And then the good thing is that we put our Mickey Mouse ears on and we listen. We listen to everything that they want to tell us. We listen to why they want to be in a good school district. We would listen to what type of house they want. And then we listen to what their wants are and we listen to what their needs are. And sometimes that's really difficult, but we try and give them everything that we can within their price range.
And it is tough sometimes that they may have a need, but it's a want and vice versa. When you have somebody who has 3 kids, you probably know that you need 4 bedrooms.
Right.
And but you may want a 5th bedroom or a study or something like that. So the physical setup of the house is very important to them, things like that. And of course, we've heard a common theme is that schools are number one. Is that usually a question comes first?
I think once they have kiddos, of course, that is one of the things that's going to be the major areas. Another is proximity to whoever's working's office. I think other things that are if they're doing different things or their likes, and we try and take all that into consideration.
You know, with the internet and things like and a lot of information available, do you find that people come in pretty well versed and educated as to Houston, or do they come in just kind of like, I'm lost?
No, people are amazingly smart and they're on their game, and our job is to be at their level or help them. We're there to work with them and get them as much as we can, work as hard as we can with the limited amount of time that we have.
And typically what happens, you'll get a call on Wednesday, they want to start looking on Thursday, and they're going back home on Friday. Is that right?
Right. We're Superman because what we have to do is sometimes we're working 24 hours a day, and that's no joke. We're picking them up at the airport. We're going directly from there to look at the first house because they have a limited amount of time, and they are our number one priority when we're with them.
Yeah.
I have a question, and this is interesting because obviously in working with a lot of agents, I also work with a lot of new home builders. Mm-hmm. And so we see a lot of individuals nowadays that are coming in and they're deciding, you know what, I don't find the exact home I want. I'm going to build my home, right?
Right.
The one thing I have noticed, most noticeably, is the building process in the United States is so different than the building process abroad. How do you educate our international buyers as to what that process looks like? Because sometimes what I feel, and I see a lot, and you're smiling a little bit right there, is there's a disconnect, and they don't really understand how a builder builds over here. And on the other side of things, they want things to be done a different way.
Right. Well, what we try and do is interpret to them exactly, one, we want to get them what they want, and then we try and give them a realistic schedule of when they can expect to get what they want. Now, if that doesn't fall within the parameters that they need, then we'll try and go to a plan B. Maybe we can find, if we can't find a house that's not ready in 4 months, that won't work for them because their kids want to start school in a month and a half, and hey, they want to meet the neighbor kids, and we want them to meet the neighbors.
Right.
well, what we'll do is maybe let's try a lightly used house, or have we thought about?
We don't have used houses. We have resale.
It's lightly used. It's lightly resale. And yeah, we'll try and do that. But we do try and really, really listen to them. I think the main thing is just listening to them and try and find exactly what they want.
Oh, I would absolutely agree. And we're laughing about that because Rob always corrects us on certain vernaculars that we use in the studio,
I've
right?
got Chris saying realtor correctly.
Like he has me all educated on realtor, by the way.
Thank
you. But the other thing was a used home.
Don't have used
So, I'm always a big fan of promoting the idea of using experts in their area. One of my pet peeves is getting a card from somebody and they point out, that don't use that information. That's that's where I sell noni juice and that's my dog walking telephone number. Call me on this one. This is my expert card on this.
You've corrected that then, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, you just said you're really not good at any of those things, is what you just told me. So on that note, right? As a realtor, if I'm hiring somebody, what is there a defining point as a relocation expert versus a buyer's agent or anything like that? Why would I call you over somebody else?
I think the main thing the reason that you would want to call us is because, well, first of all, we're vetted. We're proven performers. We're top producers. That's the only type of realtor that you're going to get. Because of that, we're experts in what we do. We know exactly when the house came on the market. We actually know houses that may not even be on the market right now that we can point our clients to. And because the company has such a web of information, we're able to give them things that a lot of other companies aren't able to give them. But I think one of the things that's the neatest thing is that I'm a realtor as far as myself, and I know that there's a lot of people just like me, is that I'm a relo brat myself. My dad was in the Air Force. My husband is in an oil company. And so people go, well, where have you lived? And I always say, where haven't we lived? So I think a lot of the relo agents have empathy as far as they've gone through the exact same experiences. They know that when they list their house, there's little tricks that we can help them with. They know that when we have buyers, we've got lots of tricks to help them find the best deal, get things going fast.
Tell me what those tricks are.
Oh, okay. Well, some of the
without giving away trade secrets.
I think as far as a serial mover, one of the things that I've learned is when we've relocated in the past, one of the things that we've always done is kept current. And what that means is we always tend to purchase houses that they look good, but we have to make sure that we keep them good all the time. So we're always tweaking. We're always adding a new paint color. We're keeping up with our countertops. We're redoing the bathroom. And not only does that help us enjoy the house more, but when we go to reload that house again and we're moved to the next spot, we're getting more top dollar for the house as we're selling it. So it kind of helps. So that's one thing that we can do. And as a buyer, when you're coming in, one of the things that you can do is be very savvy. And buyers now are super savvy because they're on the internet, they're on their game. And so what we have to do is say, okay, we know that we want the school district, but is the gymnastics close? Where are the soccer fields? We've got to know everything that they're interested in, and we pride ourselves on that. Where are the private schools? Where's the churches? How's Hanukkah? Where's multilingual? Especially in the Woodlands, we have such an international clientele coming into the city. And so what we need to do is be able to focus not only what's good in Texas, but what's good in the world.
It's really interesting. But, I always have a saying about, they can get the information, but they cannot get the experience. That's where we come in. We have the experience of how to interpret the information they're seeing. And so talk about some of the fierce conversations that you have to have. They've looked at the internet. They think they know some stuff, and you have to say, no, that's not really accurate. Mm-hmm. So you get in situations like that because, you can cross a line in some areas, and the prices will drop precipitously.
Right.
And so how do you have that conversation? I know you saw this, but this is really how it is.
Ultimately, it is the consumer. Ultimately, is the purchaser who makes the choice. Our job is to provide them with the most current information. They make their own decision. What our job is to help them make the best decision that they can make. And we do that by providing comparable sales. We do that by providing all the information that we can feed to them that's in the area. And so that way they make their own choice. Now, there may be ideas outside what we don't know about. And so they may want to go to certain areas. They may like the restaurants around there. They may want to be close to the airport. Those are things that may be important to them. But if we're smart and if we're good realtors, we've already found that out and we know ahead of time. So we're going to send them right around the corner.
Now, Cindy, one question I've got, and this is maybe, I don't know if it's an opinion of mine or not.
Right.
But one of the things, and because I work with a lot of international clients as well, one of the things I perceive and I see from our international clientele is they tend to be, number one, more apt to listen to professionals like ourselves, but they also seem to be more well-versed sometimes into coming in because they're coming into a new country as to all the things that are going on versus somebody who's stateside who tends to think they either know it all or doesn't want to utilize the help of professionals. Do you sense that same thing, generally speaking, on the international relos or anything like that?
You know, on our international relos, a lot of times if they're coming to the States for the first time, they're anxious. And so what we want to do is listen to what they're saying. And then if there's some discrepancies, what we want to do is discuss that with them and say, this is something that you may have heard in the past, but now in the future it may have changed. Or this is how it is in the present. So we try and work through that. But yes, a lot of times we have to deal with that.
Selfishly motivated question alert here. Do you find that if you're working for someone moving in from an international market, do you get many questions related to credit and how they establish credit or build credit?
Yes, and I think that is so important to work with them with a great mortgage officer, work with them with a great mortgage company. And so one of the things that we can do is we have preferred people that we are interested, that are used to working with international clients, and they are well-versed in helping them.
Outstanding. Well, Chris is obviously an expert in mortgage. If you ever need any expert credit advice, feel free to call Improve My Credit USA. I happen to know that they're a great company.
I would agree. Excellent company. On the
You heard me getting in my shameless plug, so you thought you'd get yours in too. Wow. Well, Cindy, how can people get a hold of you?
Well, it would be great. You can give me a holler on my cell. Then you can look on the website of this wonderful, wonderful television program.
Or a radio program.
I just said television. Well, that'll be bleeped out.
We have hidden
We know it'll all be bleeped out. Yeah. On the radio program.
Next the world.
That's right.
First radio, now television.
There we go.
You know, but we are having a great time as usual, but time does fly by when you're having fun. We're up against the break right now, so everybody remember you can call us at 800-808-5548 if you have any real estate questions. Otherwise, we'll be right back.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
And welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Show. You know,
we're hilarious over here.
We are, right?
Paparazzi.
We're having such a good time over
We're
here,
all taking
doing
pictures.
All the fun
We're on
stuff.
air.
Yeah, trying to make everything move and shake. You know, and speaking of moving, you know,
What a
Look at
segue.
that tie-in.
what
Wow.
a great segue
like
in
he's a
about
pro or
moving and
something.
shaking. You know. But you know, one of the things we talk about, relocation is extremely important. But one of the things that also is really important is finding an incredible mover. Am I not talking about the right thing there, Rob?
Absolutely, because even Joe was talking about earlier today that, you know, he says the next move he does, he wants people to come in, pack him up, take it where he's going, unpack it, get everything set in place. He said, I'll pay for that. So today we have Paige Austin Cherry with Apple Moving. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you so much for having me, Rob.
You're absolutely welcome to be here. And we were talking about moving. So you were talking about earlier about the process, is that you actually do an analytical process as well when you meet with people about what their needs are. Talk a little bit about that.
Yes, sir. What we do is we will have people that either call in or they come into our location, and they have all kinds of questions. They want to know how long the process is, different pricing, things like that. They want to know.
Everyone wants to move in like right away, right? Everyone wants you to move in tomorrow.
Yes.
Can you
yes.
come in? Can you pack me up? Can we move across the state? And by the way, I have 2 hours to give you to do it in, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Everybody always wants it done right away. That's one thing that I always like to share with people during a very, very busy moving season. We always like people to call at least 2 weeks ahead of time because we are very, very, very busy.
And, and right now we're actually one of those busy movie seasons. I mean, one of the things, talk about that cycle, is the summertime, generally speaking, when most individuals are moving the most amount because school's showing up, et cetera? Or do you see a steady amount of business that's been going on throughout the year?
Actually, we do see a steady amount of business. Things have really changed for us this year. Normally, the summertime is our busy season. However, this past year, we have been busy, for, I would say, at least the last 6 months. It just looks like things are always going up. Our staff is very knowledgeable. People hear about Apple Moving. They want to use our company, and things have just been going really, really well for us.
That's great. Yeah.
I literally, Rob made this. We were joking about this before the show. Rob was alluding to this. This was a serious question for me. I hate moving. I mean, with a passion. I did it 8 years ago, and that's once is enough.
Kim wants
and
that
he's
new
still waiting
house.
another 20 years where he
Yes,
moves.
so Kim is getting all the ammo she needs to close me on moving.
Now, not only do we have a home that you can go to, we've got a company that can do what you want them to do.
Yeah, I seriously didn't know that moving companies would do that. I want a company to come in, put everything in the boxes for me. I don't want to have to pack a thing. I want you to take it to my new house, unpack it all, put it back in the same drawers, all messy, just like it was.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Apple Moving would be happy to do that for you. We do have some female packers on staff. We've had a lot of people call in and request them, and we've gotten a lot of wonderful feedback.
Oh, so after they dump the drawers from my first place, they'll put it back neatly.
Absolutely. They will be happy to do that for you.
Is that actually the reason why they want women packers? Is because they feel like they'll be more conscientious about packing and the delicate things like the china and the crystal and things of that nature?
Yes, sir, Rob. That actually has been mentioned to me before. They do like the way that they do take care of the items. They are very delicate. They're packed correctly. Not saying that men can't do that, because they certainly can, but it looks like our female pack crew has gotten a lot of praise, and they do a very great job.
I mean, I'm always in touch with my feminine side. I mean, would that rule me out?
Well, I don't give up that day job if I were you. Just saying. So, what type of issues are they concerned about when they first come to you and they say, Paige, we haven't moved in a long time. We don't know what the process is. I mean, what is their biggest concern?
They do just want to make sure that their precious valuables are really being taken care of. They have a lot of things that they've had for many years, and they just want to know that, items are not going to be scratched, are not going to be broken, that they are going to be taken care of in the way and moved as if, the movers are moving their own items themselves. They have, lots and lots of things that they've had for, like I said, many years. And they just want to know that the guys are going to take care of it and, nothing's going to happen.
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, I have some antique pieces and some art pieces and things like that. And that was always my number one concern. In fact, when I moved, I would always go talk to the guys. And I didn't have any women packers from the company I had called. And, of course, I'll be calling Apple from now on. But I remember one time I warned them about an armoire. And I said, if you lift the crown off, the mirror's going to fall forward. And, of course, 15 seconds later, I hear this crash.
Oh, no.
And so I said,
yeah, that's what I meant.
That's what I meant. and of course, they repaired it and everything. But, of course, you take an antique and replace it with a contemporary mirror. It never looks the same. So I understand the concern for very valuable things that are irreplaceable. So how do you make them feel good about that process?
Well, my mother-in-law just moved a few weeks ago, and I actually went in and witnessed the move myself. I wanted to see how great the guys were doing. We had heard a couple of our crews had been, just doing phenomenal packs, and I wanted to witness it myself. I did watch them, and I watched them with the blankets and with the wrapping and the way that they just take care of the furniture, and they make sure that everything is secure, and they put it on the dolly, and, two guys will work together to make sure that everything is perfectly taken care of.
What kind of questions, if I'm looking at moving and, I'm not an expert in the process, I'm just a schmo that's done it once, and I am now saying I don't ever want to do that again. I do not want to be the guy to do all that. So now I'm looking at hiring a moving company. What kind of questions do I need to ask? Kim, take notes.
The kind of questions that you want to ask is you want to see if, first and foremost, if the gentlemen that are moving you are on staff. Sometimes people will...
Interesting point.
Absolutely. A lot of times there are people that are on the side of the road and they want a day job and they say, I'll move your belongings. And that's not how Apple Moving works. We actually have all of our crews are on our staff. They show up, Monday through Sunday, get there at 7, and they set up for the day. So all of the guys that we have are people that are with us every single day and that are committed strictly to Apple Moving.
That's a great question.
Well, you asked the question, but I am going to interrupt on one thing. One of the things that you asked,
yes, it is a great question, though.
It is a great
my question was,
and
what
an
question
awesome
should we
answer,
ask?
right? But one of the things, if you go out actually to the Apple Moving website, it's really neat because you actually have a lot of these questions that they say, these are, whether you use us or not, these are questions that you need to ask into, your moving company. And there's things such as, how long you've been in business and what is your dot number. Obviously we talked about the employees. Are the employees part of you? Or are they day laborers, et cetera? Can you provide me references? And the reason I want to touch on the references is y'all have some great references that you do and that you have because you've worked so long here in the city. And you have a very long list of great realtors who refer y'all out.
Yes, sir, we do. I work very closely with Keller Williams, with Martha Turner Properties, with Remax Rewards over in Porter. We have a lot of realtors that we work with on a daily basis that I am very, very thankful for that use our services.
And that's always something good because let me tell you, it's not always that easy to get a realtor to refer you out as often as you do.
How long has Apple been in business?
Apple Moving has been in business for 12 years now. The owners are Pat Crane and Sean Dezell. They graduated from Kingwood High School, so they are two local guys that have been in our area for quite some time.
Local boys.
Local boys. Local boys. I would like to, if I could, give a shout out to the staff at Apple Moving.
Absolutely.
They do a phenomenal job. They work very hard, extra long hours during the summer, always just very knowledgeable with all of our clients, and I couldn't be more proud of them.
Do you see that the staff and everybody has a common vision to do excellent service, and everybody's kind of on board with that message?
One thing I can say is I always feel like they do go a step above and beyond. 5 o'clock comes around and it's not everybody grabbing their purse and their keys and they're ready to go. The phone rings, they answer it, they give quotes until, they need to be there to help that last client for the day, and they are always above and beyond.
Yeah, let's talk about that. That's a great segue. And they're going to come out to your house and they're going to give a quote. Now, tell me what they're basing these quotes on. Is it square footage, amount of furniture, and then there's variables in there. Talk about that a little bit.
It is. A lot of times people don't realize how much stuff they do actually have. And when we do quotes and we go out to the home, one of the things we look at is how much stuff do you have in your garage? How much stuff do you have on your patio? So it's not just everything that's inside your home, it's the surrounding things as well. You have different things in your yard, and it's just, so they do go by square footage. They look at everything you have, whether the furniture is, something that's heavy or lighter. Definitely we look to see if you have a pool table, a gun safe, or a piano, and those things are extra that we have to make sure that we pay attention to because those are very delicate items to be moved.
Now, do you outsource any of that? I know piano moving is a very specialized thing. Do you outsource that to a company that moves pianos?
We do move certain pianos, baby grands, but when it gets beyond that point, yes, sir, we do outsource.
How about pool tables? I know that's a big deal also.
We do that as well, yes.
There's a lot of free pool tables out there when people are going to sell their houses and they don't want to move them. I see that happen all the time.
Exactly,
yes.
Exactly. Again, that's something we just have to be very delicate with because those are items that have to be taken care of.
Well, we're coming up on a break again.
Already?
It's flying by. Want to make sure that folks know how to get a hold of you, Paige.
All right. Well, I will tell you, our address over at Apple Moving is 2235 Atascocita Road. We have my cell phone number, and then we also have the company telephone number, 281-446-0022. You can call that number at any time for a free quote.
281-446-0022, and that is applemovinghouston.com. And let me tell you, great movers. You can do inner city moving, interstate moving, really anywhere someone needs to be moving. other than obviously, Mongolia maybe. But, you can get that taken care of.
Because that happens a lot.
Exactly, right? She has a contingency of Mongolians that are moving back. You know that?
People from the Mongolian consulate, please don't call us.
Yes.
I love their beef.
Yes, exactly.
Me too. Got a sudden urge for Chinese food.
But we are coming up against the break again. Time flies when you're having fun, but stay tuned. We'll be right back.
When you put your arms around me, I get a fever that's so hard to bear. You give me fever when you kiss me, fever when you hold me tight.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
And welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Show. We have to give a big shout out to Sigmund, who recorded our intros and exits. Let me tell you, great voice, and we have so much fun on the breaks, just rehashing it.
We've listened to that opening and those comebacks so many times. They still crack me up.
Absolutely, no, it was a lot of fun making them right there. But we're going into our segment right here, the last segment, where we actually have a lot of fun, even more fun than we've been having.
Woo!
More so than the Mongolian beef.
Yes. We have a very busy Facebook page, and we've got people that monitor our show and listen to our show all around the state, and we get good questions. So one of our listeners up there in Dallas, Richard Weeks up there in Dallas, is also a realtor, asked a great question, and we happen to have the expert in studio to answer this. He asked, on a reload seller, how is the appraisal handled if the company has to buy the property? So that sounds like a question for Steve.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And that's one of the ongoing challenges in the relocation business is how do you make sure that you're developing a fair price for the employee as well as for the employer. So what we'll do is we'll develop a great network of appraisers who have a proven track record of coming in within a certain percentage of the actual sales price. So we know that they do a good job, that we know that they understand the marketplace, and then we'll typically send out 2 appraisers for that property, come up with an average value, and then that will become the established value if the company needs to buy it out.
Well, that kind of leads up to the question I have is I know reload companies have changed their method of doing business, and not that many are wanting to buy houses anymore. Is that a correct statement?
That's exactly right. Relocating employees is an expensive process.
I know it's very expensive. Now, in some cases, I've seen some companies bring people in, and they say, don't buy anything now, rent. Are you doing some of that through your reload company?
We are seeing that, especially if an employer knows that they're going to relocate those employees again later. There are some employers that are creating programs where there's an incentive not to buy. So that's not necessarily what we think is in the best interest of the community, but
it's in the best interest of the person, because you got to realize what their needs are, and if they're going to be relocated in 1 year, I mean, it's not going to make any sense for them to buy a house. Right. Absolutely. So, what percentage do you think are doing that now?
That's a fairly small percentage. Usually, it's the employee that elects not to buy, because if they think that they're going to move again within a certain period of time, then they don't want to buy.
Of course, in this market, I don't know that you're buying a lot of houses, because here in Houston, if they're on the market for about 6 hours, it's probably got a couple of contracts on it. But in markets that you all work in, you're having issues where the houses aren't selling fast.
Yeah, and that's been a big problem ever since the economic challenges in the 2009 time frame. A lot of times, employees are not able to sell their house. And so in many cases, what those employees will do is they'll become landlords, or they'll rent their homes out.
Accidental landlords is what I call them, yes. Yeah. So do you end up buying those houses, or are you still in the process of doing purchases?
Yeah, we definitely do. That's going to be driven by the employer's relocation policy. If the employer has it set up to do that, then we definitely step in and we handle that entire process.
And you work pretty much all over the country, all over the world?
Yes, all over the world. You bet.
It's really interesting stuff, and I get educated. I haven't done reload in a while, and it's always interesting because they come in, they've got these certain programs and packages they've been given by their employer, and everyone is different.
And what I've been seeing here recently, it used to be and I want to say, 5 years ago, it was the relocation business. It was actually pretty interesting. They'd come in, they'd have their relocation providers. Those providers have their service providers, such as mortgage and real estate, et cetera, and you were locked out, pretty much. And nowadays, what the employers have actually done, what I'm seeing on my side is I get a lot of phone calls saying, well, I have this relocation package, and I was told I could use this company or this company, but I was referred to you by my realtor, and I would rather you do this, and I'll go ahead and get it charged back to the company because it's going to be something I can write off anyways, or the company's going to be covering. And so we're actually seeing a lot more now, and my relocation business has boomed, even though I don't have a specific relationship. Because a lot of times what I am able to do, and I don't mean anything bad with the big banks, but what we are seeing is individuals now are coming in saying, I need to close faster. I want local service. I want local people to take care of me. I want people who work with my agent. And so that's actually providing a great opportunity for us to really come in, let's say on the mortgage side, and really be able to be a better buffer and be able to do things a little bit faster and get them the equal amount of deal that they were getting, because at the end of the day, the company was still covering it. And we didn't see that 5 years ago. It was so locked. And so, are you seeing a little bit more of it's opening up a little bit right there?
We definitely are, because the employee's more educated, our client, the corporation, is more educated. It's incumbent upon that employer to say, look, we're going to work with you. We want you to move. We're going to let you do whatever you need to. If you need to go outside of our list of existing providers, you can certainly do that, and most employers are encouraging that.
That is really neat.
And Lynn and Cindy, both, either one of you might answer. When they come to you, are they already with a lender, or they've already been through the process before that they go with Cindy? What are you finding?
Yes, usually what happens, they have already been pre-qualified before they get to us. Steve's company, NEI, they're just great at handing them off already pre-qualified, and then we hand them off to the agent.
Yeah.
And then we take them from there and get them into that house.
Well, I've told everybody nobody should be going out looking at houses unless they've been pre-qualified, because it's not fair to the buyers to go out there and get all excited about buying a house, and maybe there's some issue that that Joe could take care of later on, but they may have some issues, or they may find out they can buy more house or less house. I mean, there's just no point even looking until you've been through that process.
And the one thing I will, this is always on my soapbox that I get on, though, is I tell everybody pre-qualified is a very important aspect to look and see what truly is a pre-qualification. If you've just had your credit run and a guy has just gotten on the phone and said, oh, everything looks really good, you're ready to go, that's not pre-qualified. In today's market, and for all of our listeners and for all of our relationships we have out there, pre-qualified is I have sat down or met with a loan officer. I have given them, he, she, whoever it needs to be, 2 years tax returns, paychecks, a copy of my relocation agreement, assets to be able to put down, verification that my home in Australia is selling, giving an example right there. I've actually gone through that process, and I am pre-approved to buy. Probably the thing I see the worst, and this happens all the time, is it happened to me about 2 months ago. A client came in to visit with me and said, and a Spanish speaker, and said, so I went to a big bank. I won't say the big bank's name, even though I'm dying to. But I went to this big bank. We know who it is. Yeah, I banked with them forever. Okay, so I called them up. They looked and said, oh, yeah, you're qualified for $350, no problem whatsoever. He got a $350 pre-qualification worksheet or pre-approval, went out to a builder, put $10,000 down. $10,000 down. Guess what? He calls me up because 5 months have gone by, he hasn't been able to close, and the builder's finally saying, we can't hold this off the market anymore. This is it. And he looks at me, and he shows me his tax returns, and there is no way he would have ever been pre-qualified or qualified. There is no way. He writes everything off, okay? And on top of that, he's part of a relocation. Guess what happens? They lose that money. I mean, and the builder in this case was keeping the money. So, that's one of the things you're mentioning is what I'm seeing, and the reason why I'm probably getting a lot more involved is because agents like yourself are not trusting. I hate to say this, but you're not trusting those pre-approvals because they're not being done correctly still. Yeah. And a lot of times they're out there just trying to get things done, especially the big boys. They just want to get stuff done. They have a corporate relationship. Let's just get an approval done. Let's just get it going. Let's get it going because XYZ needs it, and that's not the way still. And so that's a little bit of my soapbox I like to get on.
Yeah. Well, I got another question from the Facebook page. The Real Estate Rat Pack page is busy today. This is for Paige Paige, are you ready? Very complex question here.
I'm ready.
How much should you tip your movers? Your crew is hanging on every word right
Yes.
now. I promise you.
Was that her crew that actually wrote that?
They should all be working right now. They should not be on.
They are listening to the show, darn it, Paige.
They are. Quite honestly, I have that question asked quite a bit. Honestly, it's up to your discretion. I mean, people
There's
will...
not like a restaurant percentage you're supposed to tip that you're going to offend them if you don't? Or...
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And there's some people that don't just because they don't know whether it's etiquette or not. But most people do, and a lot of our clients tip our crew very, very well.
Oh, okay. Well,
So
that's very good. Very good.
I've got another question of Steve, since I've got you here, and we've got him from Austin. He came in just for the show, so I'm really impressed with that. When do you go out and pick vendors based on what? I mean, I know you probably have some lenders that you work with, movers that you work with. How do you determine what is a good choice for a vendor?
Probably the best phrase is performance-based. So we'll go through real estate offices and we'll manage or we'll monitor their performance over a long period of time. And if they don't meet their standards, then they're excluded from our network. We just can't trust non-performers to do work for our clients. So that's why it's crucial that we have great suppliers.
So are you the one that actually are going to be arranged for somebody to move? Are you calling the movers from your company, or is that something that would pass off to Lynn? Or
we typically manage that entire process ourselves. So each one of the various functions is managed from NEI. We're the ones that are contacting the real estate agent, the appraisers, the household goods movers, whoever's going to be involved.
You're
we're
the guy.
ones in the mortgage company.
We're going to be a lot nicer to Steve from now on.
Absolutely. It was a great question. It was a great question because it's important to know number one, how you select that criteria, what that criteria is made of, and so I can get on the list in the future. No, I'm just no, but it's important though for everybody to know because
Never shameless
that
plug.
is never worry about shameless plugs around here. But
lightning round.
But no, you're right. And it's important to and I also a lot of times people will come to me, as we mentioned this before, and I will reassure them what they're getting is a good deal as well. Because let me tell you, there's a lot of deals that you turn away. I tell everybody, you always have to look out for the best interest of the client.
Lightning round. Lynn,
Lightning
what
round.
do you want people to walk away with from here?
Houston is hot and relocation.
Awesome.
Paige, same question.
An apple a day keeps all the other movers away. Apple moving.
I like
love
it.
Steve, what do you want them to know?
I am truly impressed by the intelligence in this room. The real estate rat pack. I'm blown away.
Cindy.
If you don't know Cindy Whiteside, you should.
Beautiful.
So,
Well,
Joe?
Chris, okay. Make sure that you, with the market being as hot as it is, make sure you're prepared, really prepared. So work with an expert prior to.
I'm just going to let you close the show out there.
Well, as usual, right? Well, let me tell you, I love that, get to, Cindy and the Whiteside. All I say is continue to listen to the Real Estate Rat Pack. We love y'all. Until next week, we are out.
And you've been listening to the Real Estate Rat Pack. The question is, who's Frank, who's Sammy, who's Dean, and who's the other guy?
Chris is Frank,
I'm
he's
Dean.
Dean, and I'm Sammy.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So tune in to the really big show every Saturday at 9 a.m. right here on 100.7 The Word, KKHT.